Today I'm visiting the RK Motors Charlotte showroom, and they conveniently had the Corvette Car Club meeting as well. So I got to get two things at once, getting a Corvette Car Club meeting and also getting to see all the classic cars at their showroom. Huge thanks to RK Motors. I actually was not ever able to come and stop by because usually their operating hours are Monday to Friday. And I work during those times, so I could never come by to see the cars. And luckily, my girlfriend actually called and asked if I could come check out the cars on a weekend or if they can try to make some kind of arrangement. And huge thanks again to RK Motors for allowing me to come by for a private car event and allowing me to film here. I really appreciate it. And huge thanks to my girlfriend for also allowing this to happen by calling in and recording a lot of the videos in the background. So I really appreciate that as well. And also, if you would like to go check out RK Motors website, their Instagram page, you can see all the cars here. They're all for sale, and I definitely give them a follow and let them know that you came from my car page, Arlie Motoring. And this is by far one of the biggest classic car collections that I've ever seen. I've seen a few small pop-up classic car showrooms in Charlotte before, but this is such a vast collection. There's maybe hundreds of classic cars here, and they have another showroom in the background that's being renovated. So there's more classic cars than what you just see in the background here. They have all kinds of cars like this Ford Mustang, or they have Chevys, muscle cars, they have trucks, they have Ford Broncos, they have Toyota FJ Cruisers, they have so many classic cars. They have things like the Bel Air or the Volkswagen Bus. There's so many classic cars here that I've been to so many car events, and I've never seen so many classic cars that I've never even heard of or just have not seen any besides seeing some on YouTube. It's nice seeing the Volkswagen Bus here, especially since now they're bringing back the Volkswagen Bus as an electric car. I also see a Chrysler SRT V8 in the background, and I have never seen one of those in person before, so nice to see that here. And some 90s Chevrolet Impalas with some big wheels, and the interior looks brand new. I don't know if these are restored or if they're just low mileage Impalas, but they definitely look very clean for what they are. And then here's the Cadillac's version of the Chevy Corvette. This is a Cadillac XLR, and it did not really sell well as much as the Corvette just because it didn't have that appeal. You can see that it didn't really age well. Now here's a Camaro with white and orange stripes, and I can see in the seats that it has the 30th insignia, which means this is the Chevy Camaro 30th anniversary Z28. And in my opinion, I think the Mustang over this generation, was a lot more of the better looking version. I did like the previous generation Camaro. Now here's a Chevy Nova. I believe it's a Nova, and it is completely modded out. You can see exhaust in the fenders, which I think is crazy. You can see the back tires are huge. You can clearly tell that this is specifically made for drag racing. Look at all those gauges, especially for this car, custom made, and the parachutes in the back and the gauges even on the outside. This thing must be a monster that probably goes up into the air, probably does wheelies. Now this black Chevy right here is a Chevy Chevelle SS. And looking at that timeless interior, and also there's some Chevy Camaros in the back from the same era, and you can kind of start seeing the differences of how big the Chevelle was compared to the Chevy Camaro and how different the interior is. I definitely think that the Chevelle had a nicer gauge cluster, and some of the interior pieces looked a lot more. And this yellow spec Camaro, it definitely looks like something that belongs in the Transformer movies as Bumblebee. I'd pick this one probably over the other Camaros lined up beside it. Now here, the silver car is a Pontiac GTO. It's a long, super wide muscle car, and I'm pretty surprised at what the Pontiac GTO used to look like compared to what the last few generations of Pontiac ended up being before Pontiac shut down. Now here's Dodge Challenger, and this car is going to be so much more rare than it already is because they're not going to be making more Dodge Challengers this year. So these are going to get even more rare, and the prices are definitely going to go up. And here's this car in the background that looks like it belongs in a Fast and Furious movie. I have no idea what this vehicle is, so if someone in the comment section can let me know what this is. You can see Ricaro's seats in here lifted up. I don't see any brand on this. It looks nothing familiar to me. I don't know what this classic car is either. I do see a B logo on it, but I don't assume that it's a Bentley. And here's a Chevy truck that has a fully restored interior. I love how there's red paint on the inside that matches the outside. This blue van beside the red truck is the Chevy Suburban. Yes, a Suburban. They still had that nameplate back in the day. And there's a few Chevy C10 pickup trucks, and a lot of them have a V8. That's a LS V8 put in there. This is a red Chevy Corvette, which is a 1958 model, and here's another Corvette as well. And it's funny that they have the Corvette Car Club today, so you get to see what the old ones used to look like and how pristine these interiors are, how much they've been restored to look like they're brand new, mint condition. And looking at the new Corvettes now, it's crazy how much has changed now that we have the engine in the back. And how modern technology has become compared to the old ones. They didn't even have headrests back in the day. I don't know how much whiplash people were getting back then. Now here's an interesting lineup with some classic cars and a NASCAR Camry, and these are cars that aren't for sale. I think these are just personal cars that some people have allowed to be stored here for their collection. And here's a Camaro Z28. There was a Cadillac. The black one was a Cadillac in the background, and a restored Mercedes and a Mercedes SL. And the black one in the right. Now here's an older model Bentley, and it's kind of crazy how far they've come compared to the new Flying Spur. Now here's some Ferraris. Here's a Ferrari 355, and this is a pretty rare sighting for a yellow one, since most 355s that I've seen are always in red, and sometimes they fetch for more money as well because of how rare the yellow color is compared to red, because typically they're always ordered in that fashion of the Ferrari red color. Now this red Ferrari right here is a Ferrari 550, and this one here is actually one of just 448 produced. And in my personal opinion, I do like the 355 more, and I do agree that this model is more rare because I don't see it as much, especially when I go to Ferrari dealerships. Now here's some Porsches. This red one is a Porsche Carrera, and I've actually seen about 6 of these actually at the Porsche 75th anniversary, and I have that video on my channel. So if you like Porsches and you want to see the old classic ones, check out my other video. That's going to be the Porsche 75th anniversary. And here's a 1974 Porsche 911. Now here's a beautiful 1965 British racing green Ford Mustang, and it is so timeless. I think that I never get tired of staring at these old Mustangs. They just never get tiring to stare at. I was taking so many clips just going back and forth doing all kinds of different angles, and I think it doesn't have a bad angle at all. Now this is the second Mustang in the lineup here, and this one really blew my mind because back then I always thought that it was just always known as the Ford Mustang, but this is the Ford Shelby GT500. I thought the GT500 was something that just came out recently, like in the last 20 years. I didn't think that back in the day that they had the GT500. This stunning red Mustang is actually a 35th anniversary model that's supercharged, so that's a V8 supercharged Mustang, and these 3 body styles are actually my favorite. I never liked the Fox body Mustang. I always liked the 1960s and the early 2000s and the current generation Mustang. Now here's a 2016 Ford Mustang GT350. And for the Shelby GT350, I think this white with blue is the perfect spec to represent Shelby. The white and the blue just perfectly embodies the American muscle heritage color. I think the nice thing about how the showroom has set up the Mustangs and the Camaros is that they're back to back. Like if you're a Camaros guy, here's the line for you, and if you're a Mustangs guy, then here's the line for you. And here's a Camaro Z28. I definitely like the body style of this one compared to the one on the left, the 30th anniversary one. I think this one's just more of a timeless design that's going to age well in the next decade or so. Now here's a special Dodge Charger. You would think to the untrained eye it's just an orange classic Dodge Charger, but this is actually the Bengals edition, and were only one of 50 produced, created by Tom Neer Dodge to celebrate the creation of the Cincinnati Bengals, and right now there's only one of 3 Dodge Charger Bengal editions known to still be for sale or exist. Now look at this stunning Chevy Corvette. This one looks so different from the other ones, and this one is a 1959 Chevy Corvette that is a world-class Vet Rod Custom LS3 V8 with a 6-speed Art Morrison chassis and leather, featured on the top cover of Vet magazine, and it's one of the top 10 finalists for Good Guys Street Machines of the Year's honors. Here's a Chevy Bel Air, and it has this beautiful orange color that really pops and makes it stand out. And the thing about the Chevy Bel Air is it has some nice touches, just like this airplane and other details throughout the car. Now here we're going back to some modern muscle cars here with some Dodge Chargers and Dodge Challengers, and here's a Dodge Viper. This is a 2016 Dodge Viper ACR Extreme. This is the second Dodge Viper ACR Extreme that I have seen before, and they are such menacing looking vehicles with the big wing, the canards, the front splitters, the hood. Everything about this just makes it look menacing, and you have to remember that this is an SRT V10 as well.